But let's not forget, half the series is, like, undoing the D-mails after Mayuri dies, because that's the only way that we can prevent Mayuri's death. And as soon as we start undoing the D-mails, the future changes, and Suzuha / what was her name?
Suzuha? John Teeter.
John Teeter. Spoiler alert, John Teeter is Suzuha. Okay?
We already did our spoiler
Okay,
alert.
spoiler.
If they skip later on the video, they're dumb. I'm sorry.
John Teeter never came back in time to meet Okabe, never got a job, but instead she went back in time into 1975, and she failed her mission the first time, remember?
No,
she never found the IBN.
The first time? When
she forgot her mission, remember? She forgot her mission.
No, that was the second time. That was after the D-mail was sent.
Yeah, I'm saying, like, after he had undone all the D-mails, Suzuha went back in time to 1975.
She succeeded, but Ferris's dad sold the computer instead of donating it to the shrine. Because Suzuha gets the computer to Ferris's dad, because Ferris's dad is supposed to store it at the shrine, but Ferris gets kidnapped while her dad is alive, because they changed the timeline where he didn't die on the business trip, and she got kidnapped, so he sold the IBN so he could save his daughter. But that all got changed when they went back in time, and Ferris... because originally it does end up back at the shrine, but then Moika ends up stealing it. In the one where Okabe deleted the D-mail where he said follow Suzuha and bring her to the party, in that one Suzuha failed her mission, but after he undid the D-mail, she actually went back the night before the thunderstorm. So she ended up back in 1975, and she did get the IBN to Ferris's father.
I feel
like then donated it to the shrine.
You're thinking of two different times, bro.
I am.
To be honest,
explain that.
Because the first time she just wanted to go to that conference to meet her dad.
Yeah, and then at the end she was gonna leave.
Yeah, and she left. She left because she never found her dad.
Yeah, but she in turn still brought the computer to the IBN still ended up making its way because she didn't meet her dad and didn't stay in 2010.
Well, I want to talk about the timeline where Mr. Braun kills himself.
Oh, because we want to step into this.
That is the most impactful timeline to me, to be honest with you. Because not only does Mr. Braun kill himself, but right before that, he kills Moika anyways.
Yeah.
And, like, I'm still trying to understand Mr. Braun's position in the series. Like, the whole series, you're led to believe that he's just basically Okabe's landlord. But in one episode, we find out that he's working for CERN, and he met Suzuha in the past, and basically had the IBN 5100 to give it to CERN to prevent certain things from happening. I don't completely understand it, but Okabe comes along and makes him regret it or something, and he ends up killing himself. I don't really get why did he kill himself?
The IBN, he didn't have the IBN.
Yeah, he did. He gave it to CERN.
He gave it to CERN after Moika got it.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying, is that Suzuha didn't give Mr. Braun's the IBN.
But that's because she failed her mission in finding the IBN.
That wasn't the same time, no. Remember? That was the one where Suzuha had come back and died of illness.
Okay.
Okay? The one where Mr. Braun kills himself is the timeline where Suzuha died from illness and not suicide. So, because they didn't know the text and he hadn't convinced Moika to give him...
So what caused Mr. Braun to commit suicide?
So what causes Mr. Braun to commit suicide is that he fails CERN. So,
how does he fail CERN when he gets the IBN to CERN?
Because no one was supposed to track him. No one was supposed to find out.
Find out what?
Where the IBM was headed.
Oh.
Yeah. That was the whole point. And
So I was thinking that he killed himself because like he had already done so much damage that he regretted it after basically being told that, oh, what would Sousa have thought?
do you remember what Okabe calls him? Certain dog, and he goes woof woof. Because he was a certain dog, and he was he was making a living, and then eventually he did open up his shop, but
the way they made it all sad was that when he was explaining it, he basically sounded remorseful for the fact that he had to do all this in order to make a living, and
yeah, he wasn't
a happy person.
He wasn't happy with what he had to do, but he knew what he had to do to raise his daughter. And live. He's like, remember how he's saying, I'm not happy for the things I did, but have you ever do you know how cold the concrete is on your back?
Yeah.
And he's like, he was explaining, I was a homeless person.
Suzuha took him in.
Suzuha takes him in, but he ended up having working for CERN. Because, eventually when Suzuha dies...
Which was probably the most regretful moment of his life, because Suzuha probably told him that CERN was...
She never told him shit.
You think so? You don't think he told him anything?
Nope.
Not one thing?
Not one thing about CERN.
See, I don't think that's the case.
Because it would fuck up her own timeline. She would have fucked up her bet of going back. Because remember, she did work for Mr. Braun for those few days. I don't know if you remember that. She works for Mr. Braun for those few days until she leaves that night. Because you gotta remember, in that timeline, that night still happened, where she went to the conference and her dad wasn't there, so she...
In that timeline, she came back to 1975.
Yeah!
She never came back to 2000 or 2010.
No, she did stop at 2010. She did still stop at 2010. That's what I'm trying to get at.
How?
The
she
one that
dead. She would have been dead in the past. She technically never would have even existed.
Let me finish. No, because if you go in the past, if you go from, it's the Back to the Future theory. You go in the past, you come back to the future, there's a good chance you're going to come back to your same future if you didn't change too much. You see what I'm saying?
So
she was already in a timeline where she had already gone back in the past. Either way, either if she had stayed that one night or gone that night, she would have eventually helped Mr. Braun at some point in her life. So she would have existed in the past, is what I'm saying. Because no matter what, she goes back in time. She doesn't stay in 2010 at all. Unless the time machine breaks somehow. Okay? Like, completely breaks, where she can't travel. But what I'm trying to say is that reason Mr. Braun kills himself. He's working for CERN. His secret about CERN gets out. He basically unloads a shit ton of secrets on Okabe and Kursing, and it's just like he knows that he has to cut.
Because I feel like he secretly likes Okabe. And
he
Kurusu.
does. That's what that's the whole point. He does.
And he has his daughter. Like if he's gonna
because he knows Okabe's there, and he'll know that we'll make sure his daughter's safe. That he knows that Okabe's against CERN at this point. Okay, he gets that. But he knows that if he's around still, and he wanted to go against CERN, CERN would come out, kidnap the daughter, kill her, or like use her as, hostage to get something out of Mr. Bronzian. So he figured that the best case scenario was to kill himself and stopping that whole
And that's why I said the best thing to do is die.
Exactly.
And
kill Moeka because she had the only other information that he had.
So at that point, why didn't he kill Okabe and Kurusu then?
Because they weren't related to the CERN.
But they had information.
They had information, but they weren't, basically, CERN didn't know exactly who Okabe was yet.
But they did, because they left...
Not exactly. They wanted him, he knew that Okabe was so important that they wouldn't take out Okabe because they still need Okabe to do the things he did with Kurusu. Because you gotta understand that if Kurusu's not around in that timeline, then Russia just gets the plans, and then Kurisu would have been the only other person who, besides Okabe, to figure out, like, time travel. Basically, Okabe, Kurisu, and her father are the only three people who can, like, truly come up with the time machine. But only because Kurisu wrote that paper for her because her dad took it.
Daru could do it.
But Daru needs the plans. He can't just do it. He had to come up with an understanding. He didn't have an urge to, like, figure it out, like Okabe and Kurisu and her father. You know, he could have went on and just lived as a hacker for the rest of his life, you know, and he would have been fine with that.
Steins Gate is so intricate.
There's so many timelines.
It's so complicated. So, I would recommend the show to anybody.
Oh, yes.
Anyone. Anyone that has seen Back to the Future. Anyone that has seen Dragon Ball Z. Anyone that's interested in time travel, basically.
Anyone. If you ever watched Doctor Who, 12 Monkeys. I don't know if you ever heard of that. That's an old Bruce Willis movie.
Really?
It's about time travel.
So, I give Steins Gate a 10 out of 10.
Oh, yeah. 10 out of 10, hands down. I want more. There's so much more that happens. There's a video. I want to talk about the video real quick. There's a video message that Okabe receives after it's basically the last episode. So he receives this video message after the fact that he basically kills Kurisu. But it was a complete accident and how everything happens. There's a lot of other shit that goes down. And I suggest that you watch it because it's way more worth watching than hearing about someone talking about it, to be honest.
You're not going to really understand anything that's going on until you actually watch the movie.
Yeah, or the
movie and the anime.
And we're waiting for this movie to come out, but the game is already out, so we're actually our next video will probably be a review of the game, as far as Steins Gate's videos go. So, make sure you tune in next time, comment, subscribe, and if you do end up watching Steins Gate or have already seen it, tell us what you think. Tell us what you think should have happened. Tell us what your favorite timeline was. Basically, I don't know. Leave a story in the comments. I love this show so much that I want to hear people talk about it as much as they can. We are the Furious fans.
It's such a controversial show that there could be so many possibilities.
Well, not only that, is that, you know, it's not the possibilities. It's like, why can't we watch some more of these timelines? Why can't we get all these timelines of, like, they fully progressed?
Yeah.
You know? That's, like, this show could go on forever. Like a Doctor Who. It's just, like, let's follow, like, each one of these Okabes that, like, is stuck. Not just the main Okabe, but, like, follow, like, the Okabes who have to deal with these trials and deal with the deaths, you know? And only we're able to prolong it this long, you know?
Yeah.
And that's where they get stuck and they fail in, you know, forever. But they still have reading Steiners. So let's follow, like, another one. Kind of like how there's, like, you know, I hate to, like, make this a comparison right now because we're talking about something serious, but, like, Rick and Morty, how we, like, follow C-137, there's, like,
exactly.
a million.
There's so many other Ricks and Mortys. And they could just make a whole series of Rick and Morty based off another dimensional Rick.
You know, there's actually a theory right now that we're not always watching the same Rick and Morty.
Yeah, exactly. We could be watching a different Rick every time. But anyways, let us know what you think. We'll be back probably reviewing Dragon Ball Z or Super or something next week.
Something dark
because
side.
We are the Furious fanboys. And I'm a Sith Lord.